Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Hello, guys, and welcome back to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. At the time that I am recording this, I am filming a bit of a day in the life to be a real experiment. So we'll see how that goes. I'm a fan of vlogs and vlogging, so I thought maybe trying to do a micro vlog could be engaging content. We'll see. You're going to want to check out I Do Wedding Marketing on Instagram to see how that goes. Before I take it away and get into today's topic, I want to remind you that this episode comes out in the middle of April. I do have 3 slots left for strategy calls this month. A strategy call is when we will get together to go over your brand in specific. On my Instagram that I mentioned to you earlier, the first pin post I have up there gives you a breakdown of what that is going to look like. So after you set up your call, we're going to create a 90-minute session. We're going to schedule that. It's going to be over Zoom and it's going to be recorded so that you have all that information going forward. Then on the call, I'm going to be on screen communicating with you, but I'm also going to be sharing my screen because I'm going to be showing you how I do social media engagement for wedding pros, the formula I use, the content strategy, but it's all going to be how I would do it for your business. So you're going to let me know what your current lead sources are. You're going to let me know what you're trying to get more of, what you'd like to have be your biggest sales funnel, etc. And that's all going to be the perspective that I'm using when we're doing this strategy call. And I'm taking your questions throughout. So you're going to get to determine where we're focusing most of our time. So on a typical call, I'm going to be sharing relevant apps that I use, websites and shortcuts and tools that I use. And pretty much you get to dictate how we're spending these 90 minutes together. So you can head on over to idoweddingmarketing.com to fill out my contact form or to go ahead and book a strategy call. Also, our last episode, we had Jordan Kentritz from A Good Day Inc. And I had such a blast talking to him even before we got on camera. Oh my gosh, he was showing me around his office. It was so much fun. He spoke about embracing criticism as a wedding pro. And it's so important to have these conversations because it can feel like the world is just spotlighted on you in a negative way when, let's say, negative reviews come in or negative feedback. Or I've seen people put on full on witch hunts, when they're not pleased. And Jordan really helps guide you through embracing the negative or having a really proper mindset when going into this business and industry and how to set yourself up for success. So that is over on episode 86. So I hope you'll check that out. Today, what I want to talk about is taking into account your entire team experience when marketing. And this is going to look different for each type of wedding business. So it came to mind because I was chatting with an operations manager for the a venue, one of the venues I represent. And she was saying how the marketing has been such a positive experience for her. And I credit that to being my background working in-house for venues. And I wasn't just doing marketing. I was doing admin, which meant I was working with the director of operations a lot because we were taking care of, linen orders and cake orders and turnovers and in all that stuff. So having that perspective was really important with how I knew how to communicate the efficiency of the venue and different aspects of it. Or he would look over some of the stuff I would post and he would see things that I wouldn't see. He'd be like, there's a hose in the bush. That's just a random example. But she and I were having a conversation about how the marketing has impacted her role. And it reminded me of how important it was to understand every role and to take an assessment of what they feel should be expressed in your marketing. Now, let's say you're not a venue. It still could be that the person who is booking the brides, let's say somebody is booking couples for photo booths, but somebody else is taking the photos that day or is there on the floor. Could be somebody is booking your floral appointments, but somebody else is delivering and setting up those centerpieces. These are totally different time points that they're a part of your customer experience. And all of these points and perspectives are really important to consider and to ask about when you're getting your content calendars ready, or really if you're doing your website content. This is something to talk to everybody about too. So to first summarize why it's important. Number one, your team members, like I said, each have a unique perspective to your brand. Some are part of the sales, some are part of the back end, some only deal with the couples after. Maybe they're doing the turnovers or cleaning things up. So you want to have people who are a part of every experience. You want them all to have a voice. Number two is that the operations side of your business may have selling points that your front end does not think of. So, one of the biggest examples that comes up with operations versus sales, because they kind of always, who's more important? They're both important and you can't get rid of any of them. And the example we give to that is corporate business. All right. The salesperson may book the corporate business, but it's the operations that is keeping that corporate client returning every year. And the operations is going to know what it is that your brand is doing that keeps people happy after they've booked. They know what's happening that's keeping people happy during the day. Also, if your operations has worked other places, they're going to know what's different about you guys. So it's a great perspective to tap into. And this relates to my next point, which is that people working with the couples after being booked are receiving different feedback than those before booking. So you want somebody who's going to be happy the entire process, and you want to get that feedback from your operations people or maybe the people who are working with the couple after they're booked about what is so great about the venue, right? Or about your service. Because everyone knows your venue looks beautiful, or your flowers look beautiful, or your photo booth is super fun. But what they don't know is that maybe that a manager sits down with them to walk them through the menu, or that somebody is there at the photo booth. They're assisting everybody to make them feel comfortable. Things like that you want to make sure you're bringing into your marketing. Also, from a team perspective, you really want to create the energy that all insights and perspectives are valuable. You want everybody to know that they are appreciated. I remember when I did work in house for, they had a group of venues and they had markets. And when I would sit and eat lunch at the market, that was when you really saw what was and wasn't working. And sometimes you just, man, I wish they would ask so I could tell them what I'm seeing, you know? And lastly, what I want to say on that before I give some examples of how you can start to implement this, just because you're asking for input doesn't mean you have to use it, right? You don't have to use it. You don't have to do anything they say. You don't have to agree with them, but I'm pretty certain you're going to get at least one gem if you start asking. Also, it's going to make your team feel good because they're feeling heard. So, some things that you can do to implement this now is you could send out an email or survey to your team. Things you could ask in this are, what do they think could be missing from the website? Or what do they wish was expressed better or more often online? They really can help especially the people who work with the couples after booking. They're going to have great input on expectation management. I had one venue whose couples were coming in and they were expecting that they had access to the bridal suite for the entire day, when in reality, they only have access to it a few hours before. So, that is some expectation management that we could start using, putting it on the website or having sales integrate it in their process and things like that. So, this way, people know what to expect going forward. Another way you can start to open up these conversations, simply through a team meeting. The most important or productive meetings I've been a part of is when they have sales and operations together, right? You're going to need at least your general manager there in with sales, so they're all on the same page. And when you add marketing in there too, that's how your marketing people start to get the perspective of the full the full capacity of your business and how it runs. And it's only going to benefit marketing to know how your messaging, how your process, and how everybody's passion too affects the business. And then lastly, of course, you can chat with your teammates individually. Give them a safe space to share their input. And like I said before, if you're hesitant, just because you're asking doesn't mean you have to listen to anything they say. But I know, as somebody who's been a member of a team, that when you get to express your voice, that's when magic starts to happen. And the managers I've had who I felt safe with and who have respected my opinions enough to hear them, they didn't have to listen to them, but they had to at least want to ask and hear it. Those are the people I work the best with. And so that's what I hope for you guys and your teammates. And of course, there are our solopreneurs out there. And to that, I say just think about every aspect of your client experience and make sure that all of that is being taken into account when you're doing your marketing, your website content, etc. Think, I wonder where I've had miscommunications. Where do I need more customer education, or where am I getting great review feedback? Maybe that's something you want to pull from. So you still can take these ideas and implement them to your brand and business journey, even if you're a solo show.